It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
And welcome into another edition of Musso at the box. LSU, they're getting set to welcome in the Nicholls Colonels for midweek action on Tuesday. We'll get you a brief preview of that game, but you're now into the second half of conference play. You take the series over the weekend at Missouri, LSU's first series win of the season. You had some big standout performances that netted you some recognition, so we will talk about that. I want to touch a little bit deeper on Ashton Larson and the success that he's had, and ultimately, you're fighting for postseason. So we will update the math around LSU's chances for not only Hoover, but the NCAA tournament, as those currently, as you head down the stretch here with 4 series in conference play left, those go hand in hand. So we'll give you a full, comprehensive update of where things stand after LSU's victory over Missouri. We went into it a little bit in the recap, but we'll go much deeper here today. So fired up to get to all of it, y'all. LSU has a real chance to build some momentum here, and that's kind of where you're at now is, all right, can you do that? And we'll take a step towards talking about how and what that might look like here over the next 30 or so minutes. So y'all smash the like button. Get subscribed up to the YouTube channel if you have not already. Get subscribed up on your favorite podcast app if you have not already. And, of course, follow me on all social media. All right, let's dive right into it. And let's start with the math. Right? Let's start with where LSU stands now after the series win at Missouri with 4 series left in the regular season. And Jay Johnson met with the media Monday morning, and he was asked if he talks to his team about the math and where they stand and what they have left to accomplish in order to reach the postseason.
I already went down that road a couple weeks ago, like I said, and I don't think it necessarily helped. I think simplifying, taking not a different approach, but a very deliberate approach with my interactions with them and what's at the forefront. Like, we need a lot more than going through that. They all want to do it. Like, they know we're fighting an uphill battle. Like, but, I'm proud of this. It was a good week. It would have been a great week had we won on Saturday. But, for them to win Tuesday, win 2 out of 3 on the road, it's a step in the right direction. And, they know that it's not over, but they know, like, we have a lot of work to do.
I like that approach, fine in of itself. I mean, he even mentioned it there, like, man, we tried to go down that road and show them. But you know what? That probably does put a little added unnecessary pressure on them when all they really need to go out and do is play the game and see if they can build some consistency. But here, well, what we're here to do is talk about any and every scenario. So we can go through the math. Let's review. So going into the finale, going into the final home stretch here, the back half of conference play last week, we went through each series and kind of said, okay, what's the realistic outcome for LSU? But you have to win series. You can't get swept. Maybe you find your way into a sweep at some point. But we didn't throw sweeps into this because until LSU does it, I mean, y'all, they're inconsistent. They just are. I mean, there's no way around that. It's not to say you can't get better. Teams are allowed to get better. It's not to say LSU won't sweep someone down the stretch. Of course they could. But given what you've seen from them, it's hard to go out on a limb and predict that. It's hard to even say you have to do that at some point because this team just has not shown consistency. I mean, this past weekend at Missouri is a great example. Like, you have the stellar outing from jump, and then you have Holman going, you feel great. Holman has his worst start of the year. Luke Holman will have better days. Obviously, we know that, but it just illustrates the struggles that this group has with consistency. So we went through it, and it wasn't a great outcome. They came out at 11 and 19. That gets you into the SEC tournament, but you'd need to win a few games there to get to 13 conference wins or maybe even 14 and feel safe going into Selection Monday. Now, when you look at where LSU is, you took the step in that right direction. We had you winning 2 out of 3 at Missouri. You did that. You're 5-13 in the league. You're right where I and all of us had talked about and predicted they would be at this point. Now you have Auburn coming in, who is the worst team in the league record-wise, at your home field. You have to at least take 2 out of 3. Can you get a sweep? Maybe. We'll all wait and see. We'll watch the game and go together. But with LSU at 5-13, they are still 1 game out of Hoover. Like, if the SEC tournament started today, LSU would still not be participating. They are 1 game out, and they are behind Ole Miss. Ole Miss would have the 12 seed right now if the tournament started today. Now, don't hear that and freak out, because you've seen the week progress. LSU's where they should be. Well, not where they should be. LSU's where we thought they would be coming out of that Missouri weekend. What's left on the table? So we really pointed to the Missouri weekend as massive, and Auburn and Ole Miss, because those are the 3 teams you're going to be competing with for that final spot. Okay, well, you took 2 out of 3 from Mizzou. You're going to have a tiebreaker over them. And if you look at the rest of the schedule that Missouri has to play, they're not done losing. Like, they have to go to Tennessee this weekend. That is a conceivable sweep for the Volunteers. Like, they could beat Missouri all 3 games, and I don't think anyone would be surprised. After that, Missouri comes home and faces South Carolina. South Carolina looks like they're heating up a little bit. Like, that's a series that you would expect Missouri to lose. Now, they do get to play Auburn, but after that, they finish on the road at Mississippi State. Like, out of the 4 series left, 2 of them, I would say, are definitely, series loss for Missouri. So you take care of your business. Missouri plays that tough schedule. You're obviously going to pass them up, and even if you don't, you have the tiebreaker over them. You look at Ole Miss. It's kind of the same thing for Ole Miss with what they have left on their schedule going forward. I mean, they just got through losing a series to Georgia. Now they come home and face number 23 Alabama, who's going to be licking wounds a little bit. But Alabama's proven to be a really good team at points this season. That's not one that I think you'd favor Ole Miss in, even at home. They get to go to Auburn. Okay, see how that happens there. But then they come home and face number 1 Texas A&M. That's not one that I think you would look at and go, Ole Miss is going to win that series. So again, of the 4, and then obviously at LSU, but of the 4, you'd think they would lose 2. Now that final weekend in Baton Rouge is going to be massive for the SEC tournament, but if you're LSU, you get it at home. You can go through and look at Auburn. And Auburn, while Auburn gets Ole Miss and Missouri down the stretch, which, I mean, is massive, they also have to play Alabama. And they just got swept at Mississippi State. So LSU, in a sense, you control your own destiny in going to Hoover, which that is the good thing. And when you look at it from an RPI standpoint, when you're talking about the NCAA tournament, that's going to take care of itself, because Auburn's quad 1 opportunity, Alabama's quad 1, A&M's obviously quad 1, even Ole Miss is a quad 1 opportunity. Your last 4 series are quad 1s. So you control your own destiny. The RPI will take care of itself. What you have to worry about is winning series that you can. LSU can win this Auburn series. You do that, and Missouri has to play Tennessee, and Ole Miss has the tough series that they have. You win that Auburn series, you're into Hoover as of now. Like, you'll make up that gap of 1 game. And you'll have a tiebreak over Auburn. And then you'll face Ole Miss at the end, and if you can knock them out, there you go. You'll be in. You sweep somebody along the way, great. That makes the work you have to do in Hoover less. But I will continue to say this. I don't think LSU gets to 13 conference wins in the regular season. I just don't. Maybe they do. That would mean they've stolen a series along the way and swept somebody. More than likely. With 4 weeks remaining and you being at 5, if you get to 13, you've had a sweep, and or maybe you went on the road at Bama and stole one, or somehow managed to win the series at home against Texas A&M. I don't see those as likely outcomes. So that's why we're focusing so hard on Hoover. Your path to the NCAA tournament feels like it's get to Hoover and win a few games there, and then you're in. And then see if you can't go make a run in June. That's how this can work for LSU. But that's where they stand. They're a game out of the SEC tournament now, but when you look at the teams they're competing with for that spot, Missouri, Ole Miss, and Auburn, you've already beaten Missouri, and of those teams, you have what I think most would classify as the most manageable schedule. Like, you play A&M, you have to go on the road at Bama. That's tough. But the two teams you're competing with, who I think most of us believe LSU is better than, you get both of those games, both of those series at homes, and you should be favored in them as well. So that's why I look at that and go, okay, LSU has the most manageable schedule out of those four teams when you look at the last four they have remaining. So I sit right here in this moment, and I'd say I feel good about LSU making the NCAA tournament. About making the SEC tournament. You have to win a few games when you get there to make the NCAAs, but right now I feel good about LSU making the SEC tournament. Can they continue to build consistency and routes of doing that and make us feel better about them going on a run in Hoover and or June? That's the question that remains to be seen. Now, pivoting from that, if LSU is to do that, two guys who are going to be a major part in that are two guys you saw have massive weekends at Missouri, Gage Jump and then Ashton Larson. Let's start with Gage Jump here. Of course, the 7-inning complete game, 14 strikeout, career high. It earned him SEC Pitcher of the Week for the first time in his career at LSU. And, I mean, it's incredibly well-deserved. 98 pitches, 65 for strikes. We mentioned the 14 strikeouts. That's the most strikeouts for an LSU pitcher since Ty Floyd had the College World Series record, 17 back in June. So, I mean, that's just that, we got so used to the double-digit strikeout performances and high double-digit strikeout performances last year with Paul Skeens. I mean, you've had a few, 11 and 13 strikeout performances here and there with Luke Holman, but to have the 14, that was great. I mean, not only that, he retired 12 of the last 13 batters that he faced. I mean, the curveball looked great. It all came together for Gage Jump, and you're going to need that going forward. Like, that's what you've wanted to see out of him now. Consistency. That's the key for this entire team. Can he build on that? The starts he's had at home have been pretty good, but Auburn's got a really good lineup, and that's the next team he'll face. And that's going to be a test. And now that you've shown you can do that, it's not totally fair to just say you expect him to go out and strike out 14 again and go 7 innings. That's not where we're going. That's I don't want to say an unrealistic expectation because I don't think it is, but it's maybe not a fair expectation. But can he go out there and get you 6 innings and give up 1-2 runs, keep you in the ball game, look effective again, and help you build? If Gage Jump does that, LSU's going to have a really good chance, to win the game that he pitches, and that's what you need out of him going forward. So a big congratulations to Gage Jump, SEC Pitcher of the Week. It's a great honor, man. I mean, to be recognized as someone who had the best performance of the week in the best conference in America, it shows you how good he really was. So a tip of the hat, and he will be huge for LSU, obviously, going forward. Ashton Larson is the other one. And we talked a little bit about Ashton Larson after the game on Friday night because he had a whale of a performance, a couple doubles. He was 3 for 3, had a walk thrown in there as well. I mean, when you go back and you look at Ashton Larson, what he did against Missouri, he hit 500, true freshman, 500, 2 doubles, a homer, 2 RBI, 4 runs, 3 walks, and he was hit by pitch. He had an on-base percentage of .643. So 500 average, 2 doubles and a homer, and an on-base of .643. Y'all, Missouri did not retire Ashton Larson until his last at-bat on Saturday. That's how locked in and in the zone he was and has been. When we talked about Ashton Larson after the game on Friday, the way I phrased it was, he's next in line. Like, doesn't it feel like Ashton Larson is the next guy in line to be the superstar at LSU? You could kind of see it a little bit last year with Bear Jones as a freshman, and you look at what he's done this year. He's leading your team in homers with 17. I believe he's leading your team in RBI as well. No, Hayden Travinski's got him by 1, but he's second on your team in RBI. He went from striking out in 40+% of his at-bats as a freshman to 30% of his at-bats here's a sophomore. Like, you could see it and be like, okay, that guy's got raw talent. He's going to be good. You can kind of see that with Ashton Larson. And, I don't remember the guy's name, but somebody earlier in the year had asked, man, we heard so much about this freshman class. Why are none of them kind of standing out? Well, now you got one. I mean, and that wasn't actually totally fair because Stephen Milam's been really good as a freshman, too. I mean, Milam's hitting .301 and has played a great defensive position for you. You had the hiccup, Sunday against Mizzou, and the ball skipped under his glove, and ultimately 2 runs came around to score. But he's been great at second. He's been great when you put him in at short, and he's hitting over .300. So you've really had 2 freshmen. But Ashton Larson, what makes it so impressive and why you can sit here and feel comfortable saying he feels next in line is twofold. And here's the 2 reasons I would give you on that. Number 1, look at when he's done this. Ashton Larson has 61 at-bats on the year. In those 61 at-bats, he's hitting .361 with 3 homers and 9 RBI. But what's more impressive of that, 38 of those 61 at-bats, so more than half, have come in conference play. And he's hitting .395. Like, he finally has enough plate appearances to really count in the SEC stats for LSU. He's now your leading hitter in conference play. He's passed up Michael Braswell, who's hitting .345, by the way. But Ashton Larson is hitting .395 in SEC play, where more than half of his at-bats have come. 6 of his 9 RBI have come in conference play, and all 3 of his home runs have come in conference play. And you look at the schedule that LSU has played, and you know that's come against some really good competition. So that's one reason you look at it and go, okay, yeah, he could be next in line. The other is you can watch him, and you can see all the promise that he has and understand that there's still untapped potential, right? You can look at him and see how good he is already. The way he can use the entire field already as a freshman, his understanding of the zone. He is a tough out man. He's going to see pitches. He's going to make the pitcher work, but you can still see the untapped potential, and mainly it's in the power department. Like, there's going to be a time where Ashton Larson is hitting comfortably double-digit home runs at LSU. And that's still to come. It's interesting. Jay Johnson has mentioned it a bunch this year that Ashton Larson is the type of player he's comfortable with. A guy who comes in who's already a good hitter and the power develops later. That's one thing you see. But in the meantime, he's hitting .361 overall and .395 in SEC play, and has done it against Arkansas, Tennessee, like Vanderbilt. Like, he's done it against great competition. It's not like LSU, played a soft schedule early and he's built that up in conference play. No, he did it against the top of the league, and it just continued. He milked and just padded those stats this weekend when you did face a team that's more towards the bottom. Again, Missouri did not retire Ashton Larson until his final at bat on Saturday. That's absurd. I mean, that's being locked in, and he had a clutch solo homer on Sunday to extend the lead for a big insurance run. I mean, he's been awesome. We talked so much. You needed somebody to grab hold of that outfield spot, that last corner outfield spot. Was it going to be Pearson? Was it going to be Brown? It ended up being Ashton Larson. Like, he's got a stranglehold on that now, deservedly so. And he's been a huge part for LSU. They're throwing him in the 3-hole or the 2-hole. Like, I mean, he's hitting at the top or the middle of your lineup right now as a true freshman. He's going to be awesome. It feels like he's next in line. And, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to continue to watch him. Jay Johnson at his media availability on Monday talked about Ashton Larson.
He's got the right type of heartbeat, the right type of maturity. He's able to keep the game slow, and really that's why he's elevated himself past, not just some of the younger players in the program, but some of the older players in the program. And he's a baseball guy. Like, he will work and work and work. There's some real good qualities in terms of that and just maturity, emotional control. And then he's a good hitter. You know what I mean? He's put a lot of work in over his life to just be a good hitter. And so now you're taking the work that he's put in, the physical talent that is there, and he's maximizing it because his mind is right.
He's been awesome. And enjoy the last, stretch run of this season watching him play, because he's only going to get more awesome in his time at LSU, and you got him for 3 years. So keep an eye on number 44. He could and feels like he'll be the next special one in purple and gold. All right, let's shift gears. LSU does have a game on Tuesday night. They will face Nicholls. Nicholls Colonels come into the box, and they are a formidable opponent. Nicholls comes in at 27-14, and you'll remember that game last year. It was a 6-5 win for Nicholls at the box. That's a team in 2023 that went to the NCAA tournament. They played in the Tuscaloosa Regional, and it's a team that if you compare their roster to last year, you see a lot of the same names. It's a very veteran ball club. We'll get into some of the individuals that you need to watch, but it is a team that, the lineup is just about the exact same as it was last year from an NCAA tournament team. The pitching staff, you see a lot of very familiar guys, and they've had some guys on that staff that have had a lot of success. And you look at this team, they came into Alex Box Stadium last year and won, beat the national champions. They're not going to be short on confidence coming in on Tuesday night, and nor should they be. LSU leads the all-time series 59-25. Teams first met in 1968. And, of course, as we said, the most recent matchup was the 6-5 Nicholls win last year. If you'll remember that game, man, it was Nicholls' night. They played awesome. They played awesome. That's also coincidentally the night where I thought Thatcher Hurd's season started to turn around. And you very well could see Thatcher Hurd on Tuesday night, whether it's in a starting role or out of the bullpen. Maybe that happens for him again. We'll see. But Nicholls took an early lead in that game. LSU came back with a 4 spot in the 7th, I believe it was, to take a 4-3 lead. But then Nicholls would add runs in the 8th and 9th. And LSU would only add 1 more. Their comeback would fall short. Nicholls made numerous web gems in that ball game. It felt like Nicholls caught everything, and they were always so clutch. Like, it was always with somebody, a runner in scoring position. It's a ball in the gap that looks like it's going to get down, but no, it's snared. It just diving catches on line drives in the infield, diving catches with your back to the infield going back, diving catches in the gap, like we mentioned. They flashed the leather. It was their night. They played a great game, and they beat LSU. So they'll come in with a lot of confidence. If you look a little deeper at some of the players to watch for Nicholls, we mentioned, you'll see a lot of names that you recognize in the lineup, whether it's Garrett Felix, whether it's Parker Kodu. There's plenty, but the one you circle, bold, highlight, underline, whatever you need to do to draw attention to it, it is Edgar Alvarez. He has been otherworldly this season. He was just named to the Braggin National Collegiate Slugger Award watch list. That should sound very familiar to you because Dylan Cruz won that award last year. Like, that tells you the magnitude. And you look at a guy like Alvarez, he is 5th in America, not the Southland Conference, not at 5th in America in batting average at .437. He also ranks top 25 in hits in the country. And he ranks top 15, number 11 in on-base percentage in America. He's also got 16 doubles on the year as well, 51 RBI, and he has scored 47 runs. Like, he has been awesome. If that's not enough, he also leads Nicholls in home runs with 9. Edgar Alvarez is the guy you circle in the lineup. Senior infielder, again, now on the Bobby Braggin National Collegiate Slugger Award watch list with the likes of Jack Caglione, James Tibbs from Florida State. There's 56 hitters on there, and he's one of them. So 56 best in college baseball. He's one of them. So circle him definitely in the lineup. When you look more at Nicholls' offense, they're an aggressive bunch. It's a lot of 300 hitters. They hit 310 as a team. Like, it's a very consistent offense. They've smashed 86 doubles, and they steal. Like they put constant pressure on the opposition. 60 stolen bases out of 81 attempts. Garrett Felix is your leader in that category, 11 out of 14. So controlling the running game for LSU will be of great importance. Brady Neal is dealing with a bit of an injury. You could very well see Alex Milazzo. Alex Milazzo is the best defensive catcher on this team. So, you'll probably see him out there against Nicholls, I would think. Again, given with Neal kind of fighting through a little bit of a shoulder injury. Jay Johnson said he doesn't expect it to be anything long-term. But LSU's going to need to retire the leadoff man. Like, that's something we've talked an awful lot about with this club. They need to retire the leadoff man and keep Nicholls' running game in check because they will just put constant pressure on you. When you look at the Colonels from a pitching standpoint, it's good. I mean, it's not great, but it's good. ERA just south of 5.5, which I know you'll look at that and go, that's terrible. But there are arms on this team that you absolutely have to watch. Gavin Gailey is chief on that list. 23 appearances for him out of the bullpen. They have gone heavy to him. Despite some struggles, they've gone heavy to him. Like if Nicholls is in this ball game, LSU is going to see him. So they're a very deep pitching staff is Nicholls. I mean, we talked about Gailey there, but you have Devin DeSandro, who's got 15 appearances on the year. He started the game against LSU last year. There are, let's see, just relief-wise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different guys with double-digit appearances for Nicholls. That's just bullpen. And really, I could throw a 9th in there and a 10th if you want to throw Sam Hill and Jack Nelson, but a lot of their appearances have been starts. But, I mean, that's deep. So, that's what you're going to be looking at, from this Nicholls staff. They throw a lot of strikes. They've gotten hit. There's more hits than innings pitched as a squad. And, but they're also, way better than, way over a strikeout per inning as well. So mixed bag on the mound. Good, not great. But certain guys have been. Who will they start? They haven't announced at the time of this recording. Dylan Farley is a guy who has started plenty of their midweek games for them, but he did just pitch in their Sunday game. As we mentioned, Devin DeSandro started the game last year against LSU. You won that game, so do you run that back, try to get the mojo? There, Sam Hill has started games. Jack Nelson has started games. Jack Nelson has also been much more of a, towards a weekend guy. Hayden Luke is another one who has started some midweek games recently. So those are some guys just to kind of look out for in that regard. But when I look overall at Nicholls' pitching staff, like I said, good, not great. There's some things they do really well, but there's also some opportunity for LSU to build. And that's one thing you really want to see is LSU offensively in this game continue to build off the success you had this weekend. It was LSU's best offensive weekend in conference play. They scored 25 runs. That was the most. You left the yard plenty, but more importantly than that, you saw LSU leave the yard with guys on base. Like you saw a 3-run homer. You saw a couple 2-run homers. That was massive, for LSU over the weekend. So continue that going forward against what's going to be a very game Nicholls team. As far as LSU on the mound, I think it's one of two guys. I think it's either Cade Anderson or Thatcher Hurd. I think both of them probably pitch. This is going to be an opportunity where you see a lot of LSU arms. Jay Johnson mentioned maybe trying to get Jaden Newt back out there, which I would love to see. We talked about Hurd and Anderson. I think one of them gets the start. If I had to guess, I'd say probably, this is, again, strictly a guess, I'd say probably Cade Anderson. Maybe in that role, that's when he's been the best. And again, Nicholls is a formidable opponent that they could make the NCAA tournament, so you want to get off to a good start. You want to win this game. But you'll see a long line of relievers like Gavin Guidry didn't pitch at Missouri. I'd expect to see him. Sam Dutton didn't pitch at Missouri. I'd expect to see him. So, I mean, you're going to see a lot on the mound for LSU. But this is a game that they should win. LSU, they're looking to win 2 in a row here and maybe get a little bit of revenge, if you want to call it that, against Nicholls. So, look, we'll have you covered. There'll be a, immediate reaction to the game. and we'll talk about anything and everything that we saw when LSU faces Nicholls Tuesday night at Alex Box Stadium. Y'all smash the like button. Get subscribed up to the YouTube channel if you have not already. Get subscribed up on your favorite podcast app if you have not already. It's greatly appreciated. Follow me on social media as well. Appreciate everybody being here. Thanks for tuning in, and be here next time for more on Musso at the Box.